In this video, we're going to show how to set up the Cronus Zen converter onto the PS5 so that the Xbox Adaptive Controller and Quadstick can be used to play all games on the PS5 directly. This is a new update from Cronus Zen, and the update is located in the link in the notes below the video. Using this update, you can plug in your Xbox Adaptive Controller or Quadstick into the USB ports on the front of the Cronus Zen converter. In this video, we'll show how to set up both the Xbox Adaptive Controller and the Quadstick using this new update. The first step to get started with the Cronus Zen is to go to Cronus Zen download page, and you can go here by going to cronusmax.com/downloads and then download the latest version of Zen Studio. Click the download button and begin the download of Zen Studio. Once Zen Studio is downloaded, next, you must update your Cronus Zen before it can be recognized by Zen Studio. To make sure that your Cronus Zen is updated to the latest firmware, go up to Tools, then go to Firmware Update. Then, you're going to need to connect your Cronus Zen to your computer and set it in bootloader mode, which we'll show next in the video. On your Cronus Zen converter, plug in to the USB port located on the back of the converter as shown here. Then, plug the opposite end directly into your computer. Once it is plugged in, press and hold the button on the back, which is the reset button, until it says Zen Bootloader here on the screen. Now that you've followed the directions and the Cronus Zen is in bootloader mode, click Yes. Then, your Cronus Zen device should show up under the Firmware Update tool. Click on your device, then click Continue, and then click Begin Update, and wait for the firmware to update on your Cronus Zen adapter. Now that your firmware is updated, X out of the Firmware Update tool. Then you must connect your Cronus Zen to your computer, which will be shown in the next part of the video in order for it to be recognized by your Zen Studio. On your Zen converter, take the USB port that was plugged into the back of the Cronus Zen and plug it into the side to allow it to be recognized by Zen Studio. Once your Cronus Zen is plugged in, it should be registered by Zen Studio. In Zen Studio, go to Device and double check that Enable PS4 Specialty does not have a check mark next to it, Enable PS Remote Play does not have a check mark next to it, and that the emulator output protocol is set to auto. Once you've checked all of these settings are set to these settings, you can now start to set up your Cronus Zen with the PS5, which we'll show next. Before you can use your Cronus Zen on the PS5 console, first you must change one setting on your PS5 so that all of the controllers communicate over USB and don't communicate over Bluetooth. If you don't change this setting, your Cronus Zen will not work properly with your PS5. So we will show this step next in the video. Before connecting the adapter, you first must change the settings within your PS5 so that you can connect USB devices, and those are prioritized over Bluetooth devices under your controllers. To do this, go to Settings at the top of your PS5. Then, first you have to go down to System, and then make sure that the power save settings are set to Don't Turn Off for your controllers. Next, go down to Accessories, then under Controller, go down and make sure your communication method is switched from Bluetooth to Use USB cable. Once it's changed to Use USB cable, now you should be able to use your adapter with your PS5. Now that your PS5 is set to communicate only in USB mode, now you can set up your Cronus Zen to be used on the PS5. First, plug in your PS5 controller into the side of your Cronus Zen adapter. So use the cord that came with your PS5 and plug it from the back of your PS5 controller into the side port of the Cronus Zen adapter. Then, take the cord that's plugged in to the back of the Cronus Zen converter and plug that in to the front or the back of the PS5 console into the USB port. Wait for the Cronus Zen to boot up, and after it's boot up, you should be able to move your joystick on your PS5 controller, and it should be functional on your PS5 console. Now that this setup is configured, you can now plug in your Xbox Adaptive Controller or Quadstick into the front of the Cronus Zen adapter, which we'll show next in the video. Now that your Cronus Zen is configured, we're going to show how to use the Xbox Adaptive Controller with the Cronus Zen converter to play on your PS5. After your setup is complete, simply take the cord that came with the Xbox Adaptive Controller, plug it in to the micro USB port on the front corner of the Xbox Adaptive Controller, then take the other end and plug it in to one of the front ports on your Cronus Zen converter. Your Xbox Adaptive Controller should boot up, and it should now be functional on your PS5 console. Open the Quadstick Manager program on the computer and make sure that your Quadstick is plugged in. Then, go to the Miscellaneous tab, and then under USB settings, ensure that Enable Boot in PS4 mode and Titan 2 PS4 flag both have a check mark next to them. If they don't, click them to check them, and then click Save Preferences to Quadstick. Now that the Quadstick is configured in PS4 mode, take the USB cord that's plugged into the back of the Quadstick and plug it in to one of the front ports on the Cronus Zen converter. Wait for your Quadstick to completely boot up, and it now should be compatible on the PS5, and you should be able to activate your Quadstick to move the controls and activate them on the PS5 console.